Okay, hello, Mike Caccioppoli here. A few things to talk about today. I think we really need to start getting on board with the message of the Sanders campaign. We've seen Jeff Weaver and Ted Devine going on a lot of the news stations lately and talking about the plan to take this to the convention. And, Bernie has said this from the start. He's taking this all the way to the convention. It seems as though it's just sinking in now, especially with the mainstream media and the pundits and the press, is that this is going to be decided at the convention, not before the convention, but at the convention, the way it used to happen. Even Harry Reid, who's a Hillary supporter, said some of our best presidents have come from open or contested conventions. Like Abe Lincoln came from a contested convention. A friend of mine said it was a third ballot, I believe. So he didn't have the delegate lead going in. He didn't clinch it with delegates. So if not for that, if people had been saying now, back then, what they're saying now, if they had the media, thankfully they didn't, and was Abe, drop out, Abe, you can't do it, Abe, no, Abe, no, you can't do it, drop out, Abe, we wouldn't have had Lincoln. Probably might have still stopped slavery. So think about that for a second. Abe Lincoln came from a contested, open, brokered, however you want to state it, convention. And this is what's going to happen again. We're probably going to have two of these. We'll have it on the Democratic side and the Republican side because Trump needs about 61% of remaining pledged delegates, and Hillary needs about 65% of remaining pledged delegates to clinch the nomination before the convention. Not happening. Definitely not happening with Hillary. Probably won't happen with Trump, although he's winning by much bigger margins than Hillary. But still, there are two candidates there who can sort of join forces to make sure he doesn't get to that number. So probably won't happen. So this is what's happening. In the mainstream media, like people like Rachel Maddow, who's supposed to be so brilliant, their heads explode. I mean, Jeff Weaver goes on there and explains this, and she just says, "I can't believe what Jeff Weaver just said. I can't believe what he just did. I can't believe they're taking it to the convention. Wait a minute, they're trying to get superdelegates to come their way." So when all these superdelegates were on the side of Hillary at the beginning, like they were in 2008, the Hillary campaign had no problem with it. That's the game. Bernie knew the game. But now that Bernie wants to get those superdelegates to come his way, they're saying, "Oh, it's not fair. Well, it's not fair." No, it is. He's going to beat them at their own game. And this is part of the game. And it is fair. It is the law of the land when it comes to these conventions. The Democrats have the superdelegates there for that reason, because the whole idea of a convention, folks, is to decide, to figure out who is the best candidate to win in November. Not the biggest name, not who's thinks they're queen or majesty or appointed or anointed or doesn't have to work for it or popular in the last name. That's not the way it works. It's who is the best candidate to beat the other party. And that's the Republicans trying to figure out too. They don't think Trump can win. They're right. Trump probably can't beat anybody. So they don't want it to be Trump, and they have every right for it to not be Trump if they can take him out at the convention. They see that Cruz polls better and Kasich polls much better, and Ryan polls much better than Trump, just the way Bernie polls much better than Hillary against everyone. In fact, the only one she beats by even a small margin is Trump. The rest she loses to. These things that's what the convention is for, to get the best candidate to win, not only the presidency, but all the down ballots. Who has the greatest support? Who could bring in the young voters? Who can bring in the passionate voters to go out there and win down ballot, Congress and Senate, all that stuff? Who gets the independents? That's what this is all about. That's part of this process. That's why that number is set so high, 2385 pledged delegates, 2,000. That's why the number is so. If they wanted to just happen with pledged delegates, they'd have the number at 100 or 300. Whoever gets to 400 first wins. It's a high mark for a reason. The delegates are just one element. Okay, yes. If Hillary has 200, 300, 100 more pledged delegates going in, she can use that as one of her reasons. She can say, okay, I got more pledged delegates during the primary voting process. That's what I'm bringing. But how does that translate in November? How does that see? The media wants to play this false equivalency of Trump and Sanders. They're both anti-establishment. Bernie's just like Trump. But the fact of the matter is Trump and Clinton have more in common. They're both getting a very small percentage of people in their party who are coming out to vote for them in the primaries. As they said, Trump probably has about 10 to 12% of the electorate. That's what Hillary has. They're not getting independents. So right now they have about 10 to 12% of the electorate voting for them. That's what they have. That's why Trump and Hillary, who are on top, have much more in common than Trump and Sanders. People saying, how's Trump winning? How's Trump winning? Independents hate him. His approval rating is minus 45. How is he winning all these races? Because the small percentage of Republicans who vote in primaries are coming out for him mostly. The small percentage of Democrats who vote in the primaries are coming out for Hillary more right now than Bernie. But the independents love Bernie. The independents won't vote for Trump. The independents won't vote for Hillary. That's why their approval ratings are combined minus 60. Because except for a small percentage of people in their parties who really love them, and there's a small percentage of Republicans who really love Trump, and there's a small percentage of Democrats who really love Hillary, and they're coming out and voting for them in the primary. But it's only about a tenth of the electorate that they bring into the general election in November. Independents are 45, depending who you talk to, 45 to 50% of this country now. And they don't like Hillary, and they don't like Trump. So, this is what happens at the convention. This is the way it goes. This needs to be the focus right now. The focus is the convention. The focus is not winning states anymore, really. I mean, you like to win states, but the difference between Bernie winning a state by 3 points or losing it by 4 points is not going to do anything with delegates. It's not going to make much of a dent in delegates. It's not. It's not. I mean, it'll be the difference between being 160 delegates behind Hillary and 180 delegates behind Hillary. It's not the thing. That's not the point now. And I believe this was never the point from the beginning. The Hillary Clinton machine is too strong. This is the second time she's run for president. She's been around forever. This is another thing that Hillary and Trump have in common that they're not talking about. Name recognition. Everyone knows her name. Her husband was president, a popular president. Trump's name is all over Vegas, Atlantic City, New York City. He's been on TV for 2 decades. They have name recognition, which is huge in a primary. Name recognition. That's what they have in common also. And that's the battle all the other candidates have against them, is popularity contests. So Bernie knew coming in this was going to be very difficult. Did he want to have more pledged delegates than Hillary? Sure. Would he have loved to hit that magic number? Sure. But they knew it was going to be very difficult. They knew, though, that she was unpopular enough that they could prevent her from getting to 2,385 and taking their battle to the convention, where they believe they can make the case that he is the stronger candidate in November. I think it's an obvious case. I think he's got 90% on his side, she has 10% on her side, as far as the facts, the science, the math, the numbers, everything combined. And that's what's going to happen. This is going to be if Hillary doesn't like the rules, she should quit now. If she doesn't want to fight for this nomination, if she thinks she should be the queen, her majesty, and just be handed to her, she should get out now. You have to fight to become president of this country. You can't just have it handed to you. So if she's not willing to get down there, get down and dirty and fight, she should get out. She should get out. She has every right to get out. It's not too late. There's time. There's time. If she doesn't get the 2,385 pledged delegates, she should get out if she doesn't want to fight this out at the convention. If she's afraid of us, if she's afraid of the million Bernie supporters who are going to be marching on that, who are going to be knocking on their doors in Philadelphia, if they're afraid of that, if she's afraid of all of us who are going to be calling the superdelegates between now and the end of July saying, Bernie's a stronger candidate, and if you don't vote for him, we're not going to vote for you, and you're going to lose your job, and we know survival, keeping their job is the #1 thing on their minds, not Hillary Clinton. If she's afraid of that, she should just drop out. Make it easy on herself and save, her rich people all this money, and save Wall Street all this money, and save the gun industry all this money they give her, and the big banks and big pharma and prisons. Save all this money. Keep it. Because it's pointless. You have to fight. Bernie's a fighter. He's out there fighting. He's back. He took one day off. He's back in Pennsylvania fighting again. So I really want this narrative from this point on, folks, to not be, oh, is he going to win Pennsylvania? Oh, my God, if he doesn't win Pennsylvania, I'm going to die. No, it's not about it anymore. It's not. Yeah, I'd love to win all 5 states. But if he loses all 5 states, it's still going to the convention. Because she's not going to get the 65% of the vote from here on in. He's going to win, and he's going to win his share of states. Out west, he'll win again. He'll win in Oregon. He'll win in the Dakotas. He'll win in Montana. You know, probably take a very good chance at Connecticut and Rhode Island next week. A shot at Pennsylvania. He's going to win his share of states. You know, but we need to. The focus really needs to be now, and you could see the orders coming from the campaign. They're on TV talking about it. You know, and the mainstream media's heads are going to explode. They're going to say all this bullshit about it not being fair. They're going to, you know, David Plouffe, who was Obama's campaign manager, who was saying, I mean, much more negative things about Hillary than Bernie's people, than Jeff Weaver or Ted Devine are saying now. In 2008, he was bashing her left and right. Now all of a sudden he's on her side. I'll get to that in a second. But he came out and said that Bernie supporters are great. I don't want to belittle Bernie supporters. But Bernie putting out an email saying that he has a path to nomination and raising money off that is fraud. That's what he said, is fraud. David Plouffe knows that the convention is a legitimate path to the nomination. Those are the rules. He knows that because they were all ready in 08 if Obama didn't have more pledge delegates to go to the convention. Obama was all ready to take that to the convention if he was behind in pledge delegates. They were all ready to go. Also, Obama lost the popular vote. And now they're trying to make this an issue, that she has more of a popular vote than Bernie. Obama lost the popular vote to Hillary. She won more popular votes. She still isn't president. So they know the popular vote is meaningless as well. And they're putting out emails saying, Hillary's got 2.5 million more popular votes, give us money, because she's winning big, when they know that's bullshit, because they don't count the votes in the caucuses that she's losing by 50 points. Those popular votes aren't counted. So they know they're full of shit. Now, of course, Plouffe, who was on Obama's side, who was bashing Hillary left and right 8 years ago, who's now on her side for one reason: money. Money. They're paying him money to be on their side. You know what that's called? That's called whore. That's what that's called. Let's call it what it is. All right? Stop with this nonsense. He's fraudulent by saying he doesn't have a path to the nomination. Everyone knows the convention is a legitimate path to the nomination. And I go on Google, open convention, brokered convention, contested convention, and you'll see what the rules are. That number, 2,385, is there for a reason. If you don't hit it, you got to go to the convention and you have to hash it out there. You have to battle it out there. And that's what's going to happen. That's the issue now. So I really think we need to be a little bit less stressed out on these primary days. Yes, we want to win. Yes. But you have to understand that this is all about now getting everything in order for that convention. Getting everything in line. All the facts, all the data, everything in line. Continuing to win independence, even in states that you lose, when they're allowed to vote, which is, of course, another issue. That half the people are registered independents, and they can't vote in many of these primaries unless they change a Democrat 10 years ago. You know, so New York's ridiculous laws, you know, of having to switch in October before you even know who the candidates are going to be, before you even know who's going to be left standing in April. It's ridiculous. You know, I mean, people in this country, many people in this country, especially younger people, think, hey, I registered to vote. I like Bernie. Can I vote for him? No, it doesn't work that way. No, you got to switch, and then you got to go back and make sure they switch you, make sure you didn't get purged, make sure you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to get the ID the first time. Otherwise, you got to. In Canada and the UK, they don't do that. They don't say you have to pledge allegiance to a party. You know, it's bullshit. So, once again, the main focus of this video, is to stay focused on the convention. It's 3 months to go. Late July 25th to 28th in Philadelphia. That needs to be, that's the point now, winning there. That's where the nomination will be clinched this year, and not before. You know, we're talking about California, June 7th, and that's basically, California is really an exclamation point right now. You want to win California because it's the last big state, it's the biggest state, and that gives you even more cachet going into the convention, whether you have the pledged delegates or not. I won California. That's big. Yes, it is big. But even if he doesn't win California, it's not the end of the world, because it's going to the convention regardless. But everything needs to be taken, the perspective needs to be changed now. I'm seeing a lot of, oh, we can't win the states, we can't win the pledged delegates, the math doesn't say we can pass her and pledged delegates, the math doesn't say we can't get, the math says we can't get here, we can't get there. What the math says is she cannot get to 2385, and really neither can Bernie. It's even more difficult. So that's the point right now. This is going to the convention, folks. This is going to the convention. And we have to remember that that's where it all... We got a little bit of an endorsement from Joe Biden today. Obviously, it wasn't a direct endorsement, but he said, in my party, we think big. I don't want to hear about thinking small. I don't want to think about we can't do this, we can't do that. You have to talk big and think big in this party, and that's what this party should be about. So it was really an endorsement of Bernie. It really was. It was really a condemnation of Hillary. And that was just today, Joe Biden. Troy Anthony LaRiviere, I believe that's the principal in Chicago. He was removed from his position by the elections board there, and obviously this is he's won 3 awards, best principal awards, but he was on Bernie's side. He was against Rahm Emanuel. Rahm has pretty much decimated education system in Chicago, and he's been very vocal about this, and this is of course Rahm Emanuel getting his payback. This is the people who Hillary surround themselves with. They surround themselves with mayors who have vendettas against great principals, who want to destroy the education system, and they surround themselves with campaign people who come out and say, if Bernie doesn't tone down his rhetoric, fuck him. That's what one of his campaign people said. You know, you could be judged by the people, your friends you have. These are her friends. These are her allies. You know, David Brock, who was bashed Anita Hill, who was a Republican, who was on the side of Clarence Thomas. I mean, these are the people she surrounds herself with. This is it. This is going to the convention, folks. And we have a lot of stuff on our side. A lot of stuff. We have a lot more than 200 pledged delegate lead on our side. That's all she has. And those superdelegates are just standing there. They don't vote till July. Don't let anyone tell you different. Their pledge is meaningless until July when it comes to the balloting system. And without the pledged delegates, you won't win on the first ballot. And anything can happen. Anything can happen. Think convention. We'll talk more about that. I've talked long enough. Mike Caccioppoli, feel the burn. Let's go. BernieSanders.com. Contribute. We got still 3 months left in this battle, and the conventions are very, very, very expensive. He needs money for the convention. So BernieSanders.com. Give your convention contributions. Mike Caccioppoli. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.